All right, let's jump right into today's explainer because we are looking at a story that is, frankly, incredibly cinematic. We're talking about a narrative from the Bhagavata Purana known as Shakatasura Vadha. Now, I know, on the surface, this sounds like your classic, dramatic myth, a divine child, a hidden demon, you know the drill. But when we actually peel back the layers here, wow, it is literally a masterclass in understanding the invisible weight, the heavy ego, and that kind of deep spiritual stagnation that so many of us end up dragging around every single day.
But before we travel back to the ancient village where all this goes down, I want you to just pause for a second and ask yourself a pretty personal question. What invisible burdens are you carrying right now? Think about the heavy, unseen carts we're all pulling. Is it some old fear you just can't shake? Or maybe it's a routine you do purely because, well, you've always done it, even though it brings you absolutely zero joy. Keep that personal cart in mind, because figuring out how to drop it is exactly what this ancient text is going to help us unpack.
Okay, picture this. We're in the peaceful, sun-drenched village of Gokul, and the vibe is just absolutely electric. The whole village is throwing a massive, sacred festival to celebrate the birth of baby Krishna. Mother Yashoda has lovingly bathed him, and she places him out in the courtyard to catch some sleep under this big, decorated wooden cart. The air is just packed with these amazing light sounds. You've got flute music echoing down the streets, cowbells ringing, people laughing, women singing these gorgeous devotional songs. It is a moment of pure, 100% unadulterated joy.
But here is where things get really fascinating. The contrast here is just wild. Down below, you have this absolute innocence, right? The divine child, completely at peace, fast asleep. But hiding directly above him, literally forming the structure that's supposedly giving him shade, is Shakatasura. And according to the text, Shakatasura wasn't just some random monster. He was an ancient demon who spent lifetimes utterly obsessed with pride, material possessions, and power. His consciousness got so incredibly heavy and lifeless that he was actually cursed to be trapped inside this dead, creaking wooden cart, just waiting there silently, under strict orders to destroy Krishna. So the big takeaway right out of the gate is pretty profound. Unconscious negativity in these heavy, invisible burdens, they almost always hide quietly right inside the most ordinary structures of our lives. I mean, the villagers are throwing a literal festival right next to a demon, and they don't have a clue. And that teaches us that even during our happiest, most sacred moments, our own hidden burdens, those old fears and rigid, empty habits we talked about, can be silently calling the shots without us even noticing. We might look super active or spiritual on the outside, but inside we're totally weighed down by mechanical habits.
So let's fast forward to the climax. And honestly, the sheer absurdity of how this plays out is what makes it so brilliant. Some time passes, and baby Krishna wakes up hungry. He starts crying softly, but the festival is just way too loud. Nobody hears him. Looking completely helpless, the baby just kind of wiggles. He gently lifts one tiny little foot, and with a simple, almost playful little movement, he kicks the massive wooden cart. And then, absolute chaos. A thunderous explosion literally shakes the whole village. The massive cart just explodes into splinters, completely shattering the hidden demon instantly. A tiny, hungry baby just obliterated an ancient demon with a playful tap. No way, right? It's an incredible image, but this explosive little sequence illustrates a massive spiritual promise. What humans just cannot overcome, even through years and years of painful struggle, the divine can destroy in a single moment. It completely flips our perspective. You see, Krishna's tiny foot isn't just a cute physical detail. It represents divine grace, its inner truth, its spiritual awakening. It's telling us that it doesn't matter how long that darkness has been there. Lifetimes of heavy baggage can be completely shattered by just one touch of true consciousness. So, the dust finally settles, the wooden wheels stop falling from the sky, and the village sages step in to break down what just happened. They explain that Shakatasura is the ultimate symbol for the heavy cart of unconscious living. He is the emotional baggage. He's the ego we drag from the past. He represents lifeless, mechanical traditions. The sages make it clear that true spirituality demands a living, breathing consciousness. When our routines lose their love and just become empty, rote habits, we become spiritually empty too. Just like that demon cart. Moving on the outside, sure, but completely dead weight on the inside.
Naturally, a cart spontaneously exploding causes a bit of a scene. The adults in the village come running over, totally confused. They're asking, how did the cart break? Who saved the baby? And even when the local kids tell them, Krishna just kicked it, the adults flat out refuse to believe it. It's such a perfect clash of perspectives. The adults represent that ego-driven mind, the part of us that only looks for material logic and instantly doubts anything outside our normal human limits. Contrast that with bhakti, or devotion. Bhakti teaches that a pure, innocent heart actually perceives the divine way more easily than our stubborn pride ever could. Faith reveals the deeper truths that logic just can't map out.
And then there's this really beautiful, compassionate twist at the end of the whole ordeal. As the cart collapses, a dark spirit emerges from the wreckage. But the text specifically notes that Krishna's divine presence instantly purifies the demon. The soul of Shakatasura is completely freed from its suffering, and this soft heavenly light fills the courtyard. The takeaway here is huge. Sometimes divine punishment is actually purification. Krishna destroys the ignorance, yes, but he liberates the soul. It's a reminder that sometimes the painful, explosive, chaotic events in our lives are exactly what we need to break the burdens we stubbornly refuse to let go of ourselves.
Now remember what we talked about at the very beginning. This isn't just a cool myth about a piece of furniture in ancient India. It's a direct, literal allegory for us right now. Shakatasura is very much alive in modern society. We are all weighed down by our own versions of that invisible cart. It's the daily stress. It's the heavy emotional baggage we won't put down. It's those lifeless routines and that mechanical living, where we're just going through the motions, completely numb, which inevitably leads to spiritual emptiness. Outwardly, we're functioning, but inwardly, we are trapped under a whole lot of creaking wood.
So, the million-dollar question: how do we actually drop these invisible carts? How do we break out of that mechanical loop? Well, the text doesn't leave us hanging. It gives us very practical tools for daily spiritual renewal. To bring that light and that living love back into our day-to-day, we can lean into sincere prayer, chanting, and meditation. We can actively practice gratitude and simplicity. And crucially, we can seek out devotional association, actually spending time with people who uplift our consciousness. These are the tools that invite that tiny, powerful kick of grace into our own lives. I want to wrap up this explainer with a really powerful thought straight from the text to just kind of let simmer in your mind. Even the smallest touch of divine grace can destroy lifetimes of darkness. It is such a profound, comforting reminder that we absolutely do not have to carry these heavy curts forever. So here's my question for you. What small step are you going to take today to invite just a little touch of grace to shatter the lifeless routines in your own world? Think on that. Thanks so much for unpacking this incredible story with me, and I genuinely hope it helps you travel just a little bit lighter today.